Alright, hello folks and welcome back. Today we're going to be working on the brush mower, the homemade brush mower. So this is a Yard Machines 22 inch cut deck, and it's got a Tecumseh on it. And this is a flathead, so I don't think it's a 190. I'm guessing it's probably a 160, maybe a 140, I don't know. I'm going to actually measure the displacement on this so we'll know for sure. But in this video we're going to be engine swapping it with this 6.5 horse Tecumseh. So it's the same engine. This is the valve, or the blower housing or cover for it. And I picked this up today, and we're going to try to, first I'm going to see if it runs. I think it does. It doesn't have a spark plug, and it's missing some hardware like the valve cover. This is an overhead valve, of course. And so we're going to see if we can get this one running, and then see if we can swap it over onto this guy. So I guess I'll start by trying to find a spark plug for this. Which one's the spark plug? There it is. These are all just old spark plugs. Maybe one of them will fit. I kind of doubt it, I don't know. Now a lot of these are flathead, meant for flatheads, so they're a lot shorter and stubbier. So that would be all these ones. These two are for a generator, and this one I think, I don't know, looks like it'd be the closest. Alright, well it's screwing in, that's a good sign. Does this thing fit? Yeah. Now I don't know if that might go in too far, so I'll probably need to pull the head and make sure that's not going to hit anything. Ideally I would get the spark plug that was made to go on this unit, but I didn't come with it, so I really don't know what that is. So I guess turn the engine over, and if it hits, then that means it's too long. Oh yeah, it spins over, so that's a good sign. I've realized, unfortunately, that this cover here, where the bolt holds it on, well, first off, we're missing a lot of the hardware, but where the bolt holds it on, it's broken off, and that piece is actually still here. That metal piece that broke off is still under this bolt. And, well, that's not good. Can't really fix that. Maybe with a welder, but you can't really weld this. And I don't have one anyway, so it's irrelevant. Has these kind of triangular bolts for some reason. But yeah, this piece right here, this broke off from the cover. So now there's no way to attach that from this point anymore, so it'll just be rattling around. Now the other side is like that as well, and there's no bolt for the other side. So guess what? No support for the back of this. That is annoying. That's not good. Really not good. And then the front, also missing the bolt. At least it didn't break off. But yeah, this is really not good. Not good. So the good news is I can steal some of the stuff off this. Now at first I thought these were the same exact piece, but they're not. You can see there's two bolts that hold the front of this on, and there's only one for this. So it's not the same piece, unfortunately. We cannot swap it over. I mean, not easily. So I think I've had a little bit of a change of mind, and that is, well, just take a look. Just take an objective look at what we have going on here. So here's the old brush mower, right? Okay. Look at this stuff. It's just not built nearly as strong as this one is. I mean, look at that. Barely any wobble in the wheels, front or rear. Much thicker deck. It's got a drive on it. It's a lot heavier. It's just, when you do this, there's nowhere near as much flex when you lift it up. it's just, to me, this seems like, it is a better built mower. And I think that might lend itself better to being a brush mower and having to go through such tough things. The only thing that puts me off this is the front wheels here are wider, and you can get material in here easier. Whereas with this one, you can see there's this bar here, and there's nothing you can do to get rid of that. That's just part of the design. But also, like, look at all this bracing and everything. I mean, this thing is built extremely strong, and it would never fall apart. I mean, it might, but it's going to fall apart way after this one does. Right now, so I bolted the blade on it. I don't know if I filmed that or not. And so now we're going to try and start this thing. It does not have much oil in it, but I don't care. I want to see if this runs, and so if it will be fine if it just runs for a short bit. It does have little oil in there. It's not dry. It's just a little low. This drill may not have enough power. Oh, just barely. I mean, this is a pretty big engine. Now, there is something in the fuel tank. You can hear it. And I know what it is. There we go. Alright. So you can see this is just part of the fuel cap. And it broke off in there. So I can't really use that. I'll see if it'll pop off on ether before I put gas in it. The thing is, I don't know if there's any kill switch. Oh. Oh, there's a green wire going back here. Hang on. I can do this with my own because of the drill. Not a thing. No spark. We're definitely getting ether in the cylinder. So there's this green wire. Yeah, it goes to this kill switch right here. That's hidden under the flywheel, so you can't really... I'm guessing I have to pull that thing in order for it to disengage. Well, I always hate those, so... Alright, well, I actually put the handle back on, and it has spark now. So, and I tied it on, of course. So hopefully it should crank up now with ether. Alright, ready? Oops, that's the wrong one. That's promising.
Should we open the door?
What?
Should we open the door?
It won't be running for long.
Okay.
So hopefully it'll be fine.
That sounds so beefy.
Alright, well, I'm very encouraged by that. Sound like it ran, sound like it had good compression. It feels like it has good compression. No bad sounds. Didn't vibrate excessively. Well, I don't know. It didn't run for very long. So, yeah, encouragement. So now, I mean, I guess we can rig up the fuel system. I don't know what I mean by that, but basically just get this thing elevated a little bit and see if we can run it on gas. Because it ran on ether just fine. So I'll put a little gas in here. Just a little, in case I need to clean out the carburetor. That was quite a bit. So if I can get the gas to flow back to the carburetor, or into the carburetor. There is a primer knob on this side, but it's so hard. It's just completely rock hard, so I don't think that's going to do anything. Now, obviously our fuel tank can't touch the flywheel because that'll cause major issues. Oh, well, okay, it tried. Maybe not. I think that was just residual ether it was running on. Give it another shot and see if that'll help kickstart something. She runs. This thing was flapping around. I'm just going to take this off. There's not really a fire risk around here anyways. But yeah, it ran. Carburetor doesn't even need to be cleaned out. Wow, okay. So this engine is definitely a good runner. Oh yeah, it needs valve cover bolts as well. I forgot to mention that. Or maybe I did, I don't know. But it needs valve cover bolts, so it's going to have a bit of an oil leak until I get that sorted out. But yeah, it runs with a spark plug. So now our only issue is that side cover. It's really what holds everything together, and it's broken. So that's unfortunate. Alright, so now I have the throttle. The throttle was stuck, but I WD-40'd it, and within seconds it started working freely again. So good stuff. Pretty much any penetrating oil would probably work, but I'm a WD-40 guy. I mean, anyways, not that that matters. But yeah, so hopefully we can get some form of throttle control. Alright, so everything's just barely held together here. I mean, this fuel tank is about the jankiest thing I've ever seen. If this gets into the flywheel, I mean, pandemonium ensues. But it's got these extra like little wing, I don't know what to call them, but this extra little surface that you can bolt onto these snapper blades, and boy, this thing moves some air. I mean, it was nearly propelling itself along the ground with how much air was moving. I'm probably going to put that on this blade on the other snapper, because, I mean, for a brush mower, you don't really need a high lift blade. That's more for lawn use. But yeah, This thing is impressive. It's scary sounding. It really revs up pretty high. And this throttle, I mean, it's got the fastener down here isn't the greatest. You can see so there's full throttle, and then it pops out kind of part way. So it's not really actuating very well. Oh man. But it runs. And obviously we're missing part of our drive assembly, so I need to get that working because this is a heavy mama and I would not want to be pushing this around. It's not that bad, but I bet you once you get on uneven ground it does get pretty bad. Alright, well I said I'd be done for the night, but I decided to keep working. So I ended up getting this cover on. I basically just used some washers in the back that were big enough and I just cranked them down, and I found some spare hardware that I'm using for the fuel tank and holding the dipstick on and everything. So I'm also robbing some of the parts off of here, off of this this other Tecumseh, so I can put them on this one. And so far it's going pretty well. I realized I had been running it for quite a while without actually putting oil in it, because it definitely had oil in it. It just was a little low, so it probably is fine. But I'd prefer to have it at the right level and not have to worry about that. Alright, well, we're in the good zone. Oh. I could definitely tell that this thing it's vibrating quite a bit, so it's not the most secure thing ever, and there's not much I can do about that unless I get a whole new blower housing for this. Well, I got a mess to clean up, and then tomorrow hopefully we can do a little bit more work on what I think now we'll be calling the brush mower 2.0. Alright, well, it's the next morning. The engine seems to be in a pretty good spot, other than all the missing hardware and jankily connected blower housing and everything, but right now I want to see if I can get some of this drive assembled, because with it came a box of some of the drive components, like the wheel and the shifting mechanism. It's pretty interesting setup actually, but of course I have to install all that, so I guess that's what I'll be working on now. And of course I got one to study that actually is complete, and that's the one up here. Now obviously this one's an older model, but the drive system is pretty much the same, so I can study this one to make sure I'm putting it together correctly, because I don't know if this has all the pieces it needs or not. I have no idea how all this stuff works. I suppose that it's supposed to spin in there. I really don't know. There is, of course, a belt that would go from here to this pulley, and this would sit under here. This is a bolt that's in here, and then this is the bearing, and the bearing maybe a touch chunky, but it feels mostly fine, so it'll be fine for now. And then this piece goes inside the bearing like that, and then this bolt is what you connect your nut to I'm guessing on the bottom side of the mower to clamp all this together. And then this little square piece here fits into this square piece in the deck. So, okay, I think I figured it out. So that means I need to come in from underneath. So first I need to put this one in. Alright, so I finally got it installed, and it's solidly in there, and now we're going to put this other portion of the drive, and this basically is meant to pivot like this to change your gear ratio. And so this goes on here. Like this, I think. I'm sure it doesn't help that this thing has tons of rust and stuff on it, so I might clean it up with a little sandpaper. Alright, I got it a little smoother, so hopefully it'll just slide in now. There we go. Yes, indeed. Now obviously that stuff I'm sure should have grease on it and everything so it'll move correctly, but right now I'm just making sure it's all there and it all goes together. Now, so now what ties it all together is this bar, which hooks up to this linkage here to actually move this thing in and out. We got our gears. I might just rob the belts off of that other one, since this doesn't work anyways, and I can just get a new belt for it and rob the blade off it, because this high lift blade, for a brush mower you don't need a high lift blade, so I'm probably going to take the blade from the other one, put it on this, and maybe the belt as well. I'm trying to get a good belt tensioner for the drive belt that comes from the engine. Because this one, I could use this one. This is off a different mower. But you can see the bearing is basically frozen up. And so it's probably not good. This one here is off the other idler pulley from a different part of the mower. And this one, bearing's good. So I think I can use this tensioner with this idler pulley and then put it on that mower. So we're mixing all kinds of stuff, but it should work. Alright, so I took the drive belt off that one, and I have it ready to go in here. The only issue is I have to put it around this pulley, which requires me taking all this stuff apart again. After putting it all together, now I have to take it all apart. So, oh boy, we got this off, and so now we got to put the belt tensioning device on it, which is this guy. So that goes on there. I don't even think that's it. I think that just goes on there. And then you just feed this back through. Of course, I have to get the belt around this. I gotta do this off camera. It's gonna be awful to watch. Alright, well, I got it on. That was a struggle and a half. So, it's actually already quite tight. Like, if I try to spin this, it spins over the whole engine without slipping, and the belt tensioner is not even engaged, so. But I'm still gonna hook the spring in. I don't know where the spring goes. Probably through this hole. Yeah, there we go, see? You can pull the engine over it. Oh, that thing's got compression. It fully engages this. So, now, we should be able to put this piece back on. Alright, now we just need one more spring, and that is the spring that puts tension on this carriage thing here and pulls this down into this wheel. There we go. So that's under tension, the belt tensioner's under tension, everything is locked and loaded. So now, if we engage, it's interesting, it slips going forward, but it locks up going backwards. But I guess now that's all that's left to do is to fire it up and see if the drive works. This primer doesn't, it's moving a little bit. Oh man. Oh. It's possible that it needs just more fuel to push it into the carburetor. pressurizing the tank. Here's the air filter. It's really dirty. I may or may not have drilled out the muffler just a little bit in there. It'll be hard to see, but drill a hole right through the center. So off camera, I scared up 2 more bolts for our valve cover, so now it's got all 4 bolts. And as you can see, it definitely was leaking before, but now I've got them all tightened down, so we shouldn't have any more problems. I mean, look at this disgustingness. That's just all oil and grease from that. So I'm just gonna hit it with some brake clean to... Oh, it's shooting oil all over me. Okay. Oh, by the way, it says right here that the displacement of this engine is 195 cc's. So it's basically around the same as a 190, just a little bit bigger, 5 extra cc's. But the extra horsepower, I think, is because it's an overhead valve. They just tend to make a little more horsepower because you can get more airflow in there and stuff. It doesn't have to all be off. I just wanted to clean up some of this. So the muffler I blew out just to get the shavings out of there from me drilling a hole in the muffler. This won't affect much. It'll just make it probably a little bit louder and a little bit more free-flowing.
It's important to mention I would not do this on any mower I was trying to sell or restore. The only reason I did this is because the engine's kind of dirty, junky, and falling apart to begin with, so I don't feel bad drilling out the muffler. And it doesn't make it obnoxiously loud, just a little bit louder.
Got that all nice and tight. We'll put our air filter back on. Alright, let's give this thing a test fire. Does not want to run for some reason. I think it might be out of fuel again. Yeah, it's out of fuel again. This thing guzzles fuel. Like, I've just been running it a little bit for tests and stuff, just a few minutes, and it just drinks it down. And I'm almost out, so I need to get more. But man, this thing's a bit of a gas hog. I got it down to real low idle. I did a little bit of stuff with the throttle to allow it to do that. That way it doesn't suck up all the rocks and gravel when I'm just trying to push it around. Still sucking up some sand though. Well, we're sandblasting the deck a little bit, so get some of the rust off. Got it in the highest gear ratio, highest speed. So it moves pretty good even though it's at this low idle. Oh boy. As you can see, there's just not much grass to cut out here. It's kind of, it's the middle of March, so the new grass has not grown yet. So all there is a few little dead, scraggly things. I found a big one. We're gonna see if it'll bog when I hit this thing. Of course, it's not gonna be on full throttle because I don't want to suck up all the sand, and there's just tons of sand out here. Wonder if it'll take care of some of this juniper stuff that's hanging down really low. So dusty. I need to cut away the very front of that deck because it's having trouble getting this stuff under it. I got a little bit, but not much. I love how low it idles. This is great for just not sucking up all the sand and stuff. Alright, well, I think that'll be it for this video. There will be more videos on this, like I said. I know this might anger some people, but I want to cut away this front part of the deck. And of course this bar will be in the way, but at least it'll allow some stuff to get in here. And I might figure out something to do with this bar. But definitely sounds a little bit better with the muffler drilled out a little bit. And I'm glad we got the valve cover bolts on, so that leak should be stopped. It's hard to tell because there's brake clean and half dissolved grease all over everything. But yeah, in the next video on this, I'd probably like to pressure wash, cut this away, do some work like that, really make it good to go for when the grass actually starts growing. I mean, there's not much around here, so it's not like I really need it, but it's going to be a good brush mower either way. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time.